Here we go. Anyhow, I was kind of had Star Wars on my mind a little bit today, and especially after that, may the 4th be with you. And today is May the 6th, so I'd like to say, may the North be with you. And this is a True North trilogy production of Our Wars. Here are the main characters in no particular order. Obi Want Cannoli, Luke Flyswatter, Princess Leia, Chewbacca, Han Slow-Mo, and Are You Me Too? Are you? Me Too. And Darth Defecator, I will explain. Defecator means defaulter or embezzler, and not to be confused with defecator. But on the other hand, I might be onto something here. And then, last but not least, YODA. Yoda. But YODA. I'd like to welcome one and all to the podcast. Sorry. I'm David Gerard, the self-proclaimed poet laureate, singer, songwriter, and I'm now a co-producer with my brother Dave, who thinks he's just the bee's knees because he was promoted to co-producer. What a mistake. But here's the kicker. Dave's not here. Earlier today, I reminded him before he went out, about social distancing. And, he's very forgetful and stuff. And, but when I went to talk to him about it, I told him, personal distancing or social distancing is 2 meters, but he didn't hear me because he had his headphones on. So I got a little ticked off, and I went back and I got a pen and a piece of paper, and I wrote down personal distancing or whatever equals 2M. And he went out a few minutes later for a walk, and he still hasn't gotten back. And I was just thinking, well, he's not too swift sometimes. He's never quite made the switch to metric. So he probably thought it was 2 miles. So the poor bugger is probably he must be on the North Shore Mountains by now, because you got to be up there before, so that you're 2 miles away from people. And heck, he may not make it back for next week. Yahoo! But you didn't hear that from me. So for this, just got to backtrack this production, right? We've been looking for following items to protect us from COVID-19 while shooting Our Wars against COVID-19. So we're looking for the following articles. N95 respirators, isolation gowns, gloves, eye protection, goggle or face shields, disinfectant spray and hand wipes, hand sanitizer, hockey sticks, preferably the old wooden ones that don't break easily, and also a working taser gun in case someone breaks your hockey stick with their head. Oh, and I almost forgot the most important item on the list. I think you all know what that is. TP, toilet paper. We have about the same chance of producing or procuring all of the aforementioned items as we do of finding a needle in a dumpster. Yeah, well, whatever. We have made a unilateral decision to suspend production until COVID-19 is held at bay by the discovery of a tried, true, and tested vaccine. That means we could be back at work as early as Thursday or Friday of next week, according to the 70-year-old toddler south of the 49th parallel. We're looking for extra starting the end of next week, so just give me a call, to that number that we didn't give you. And don't forget, if you are looking for a prick, just dive in a dumpster. Things in life are connected by threads, as they say, or allegorical threads. And I was thinking about that, and I thought, it's connected to threads. And I thought, oh, I know. Flesh and skin are connected with stitches when you get cut. So I thought, I think that's happened to me once or twice in my lifetime. So I, started going back and back. So the first incident I had was, although it's not really about stitches, but it's a good little story. At the age of 2 or 3, I was a runner as well as a climber, and runners can have their moments. Don't run with scissors. I was too smart for that. I ran instead with a harmless pencil, and the sharp end was even pointed away from me. But the eraser end was mostly worn away down to the metal. Well, yes, I did trip, and yes, I did a faceplant that drove the pencil in between my eye and eye socket. Fun. We rushed off to the hospital, Dad driving and my oldest sister Janice holding and comforting a hurting little unit. Apparently, it was easily extracted, because I don't really remember the event, but when you're told it enough times, it's almost seems like the memory is yours. So anyhow, I heard something on the computer there, and I got, yeah, come on. So apparently it was easily extracted, and it hurt for a few days. There was no. Oh, I almost cut everything off here. Anyhow, it's the old messenger that's dinging all over the place. Okay, let's try this one more time. Apparently, it was easily extracted, and it hurt for a few days. There was no injury to the eye. To this day, I have 2 eyes, and they both work, more or less. Another time was about two years after that, when I was about 5, and we were playing Cowboys and Indians on the Reed's Jungle Gym, and which was in their backyard, of course. And I loved climbing. I liked climbing anything. So throughout my childhood, I always played the Indian because I really liked Tonto, who was the Lone Ranger's Indian sidekick. So one of my favorite sayings was when they got in a bind and Tonto would say, "Plenty bad, Kimosabe." And another good thing about being an Indian is, I just got to check something. Okay. Yeah, I'm still online. And another good thing about being an Indian was that you could launch projectiles at the enemy. As usual, I was on the very top of the jungle gym, and I fired a rubber-tipped arrow at Damien's older brother, Aaron, who is about twice the size of us. And well, wouldn't you know it, the arrow hit Aaron on the forehead. And he got real mad, real fast, and didn't even try firing the caps in the gun. He just hauled off and threw the metal gun at me, and it hit me on the left eyebrow, and I started leaking blood. A good Indian would have ducked in time. Aaron got in trouble, and I got stitches and discovered that stitches hurt a lot more than the initial cut. But it was worth it because I had bragging rights. I had stitches. The next incident was when I was 8 years old. Serena Kay and I were helping our dad salvage materials from the old hospital at the foot of Ganges Hill. That was the one before they built the Lady Minto. And before our dads went inside the building, they told us, or asked us, if we would fill the back of the truck with bricks. And the truck was parked pretty close to the pile of bricks. So we just started, working at it. And we were working pretty hard. I got most of the bricks in the truck. And I decided to throw in the ones that missed or bounced out. So I went down beside the truck. And Serena kept throwing bricks while I was tossing in the wayward ones. And it didn't take long before I got whacked in the head by a brick. I was a bit woozy, and Serena checked the back of my head and said, "You're bleeding." So we went into the building to find our dads. And they asked if we were finished. And Serena said, "No." But I hit David in the head with a brick. Our dads were just holding back laughter, and it does seem funny at the time because Serena, she was like a year or two younger than me as well. And but when I showed them my head, it quickly got their attention, and off to the new hospital we went to get me stitched up. Another incident was in shop class. I was using a sharpwood chisel and cut my forearm just between the tendons. You know the old saying, cut towards your neighbor and not yourself. Well, I didn't really heed that one. And then after that, immediately after that happened, things went from bad to worse when I went to rinse it off, and my buddy Jim Hall took a look at it and fainted and hit his head on the concrete floor. Oddly enough, our teacher wasn't in the shop, and there was a bit of mayhem going on, so I decided to go to the office and ask for a ride to the hospital. When I got to the office, the secretary was the only one there, and I told her that I needed a ride to the hospital. "Where's the teacher?" "I don't know." "What did you do?" "This." And I showed her, and it was a good thing she was sitting down because she turned white and almost fainted. So I told her I'll find a ride or walk to the hospital, which was about a mile away. And I went back to the shop to check up on Jim and see if the teacher was back. Well, the teacher wasn't back. And Jim didn't get cut, although he was pretty woozy. So, what the heck, it was only a head injury. And I eventually got a ride to the hospital with the teacher and got stitched up. And just a bunch of other things, cutting my fingers in a table saw, in the fan of a car. My eye. I might go back to that later or do it another time, but it's almost a big story in its own. When I took my 55 Chevy over a motorcycle jump. Yeah, I got quite a few stitches for that one. And then a bar fight in Edmonton. Everyone in the bar was fighting, and someone hit me in the head with a chair. So off for some stitches. Living in Aberdeen, I sat on a glass end table, and you can imagine what happened. And I think it was about 20 stitches on that one. Another one was I was working on the Cormorant Alpha platform rig offshore, which was where I normally worked for about the whole time I was there in Aberdeen for like 3.5, 4 years. And I was arming an explosive wellbore gun. I was cutting the primacord and kind of slipped and cut my hand with, it's like a box cutter. And it was on the palm of my hands, kind of near the base of the fingers. It was a clean cut, but needed stitches. So I went to the accommodation area to find the medic. And after a few minutes, I found him. And we went to the first aid station. He looked at it and confirmed that I needed stitches, but unfortunately, anesthetic won't be administered because they're running low on stock. And it was a fairly minor procedure. So, well, okay, I guess I can handle that. And so when he started, I grabbed my wrist with my other hand to hold it so I didn't jerk away from him when he was putting stitches in. And the area to be sutured was calloused and all that kind of stuff. And when he started, I was thinking, that's a big needle and thread, because I'd had lots of stitches before, so I kind of knew. And I was right enough, because after a long time of forcing the needle in and through, he tightened the stitch and it tore right through. So I had to cut one way and then I cut the other way. And he refused to give up. And did it a second time, and then decided to use something smaller. Mm-hmm. Do you think? Finally, he got it done, and it was ugly looking. Did it hurt? Uh-huh. And guess what? I had to go right back out and continue working. Fun. Another time I didn't get stitches for this either, but I spiked my fingers with a nail gun. Kind of missed what I was trying to hit, and the tip just caught half the tip, and I was holding on to another piece of wood, and so it went through my fingers. So let's see. I don't know if I can do this or not, but anyhow, it was basically went through the meaty part of the. This is hard to look at that and get it right, because it's a mirror image. But anyhow, through the meaty part of the three big fingers and into the baby finger. That was on Salt Spring when I did that. So I kind of went, what am I going to do? So I thought, what are you not supposed to do with a lot of those kind of injuries? Pull the thing out. So I pulled it out. It's bleeding a bit. And I decided to go to the doctor's office, because it was weekday, daytime, and all that kind of stuff. And I went in there, and when I showed her, the holes where the spike had gone through my fingers, and she asked me if it was the type of nails that had glue on them, and I said, yeah. And she says, well, what do you expect me to do with that? She said, most of it's cauterized, and it's all through and through, and it never hit any bone. What are you doing here? I went, okay. And I went back to work. And I have a note to myself. One may be thick-headed, but the skin covering it isn't. So keep your head in the game. Okay, this next one, let's get a sip here. It's bees. And the first one is wasps. I'm into talking about lots of injury stuff today, but sorry about that. But that's all that came out when I started writing. So the wasp was when I was 4 or 5 years old in Victoria. I don't know how this thing started, but I sure finished it. 3 friends and I noticed mud wasps milling around the end of a culvert in a shallow ditch. In silent agreement, we began throwing rocks, and none of them came very close. But the bees were becoming disturbed, and we had run out of ammo. I found a stick, a nice little, well, big stick maybe, and walked right up to where the bees were and started whacking away, started hitting them. And by the time they got real mad, it was too late because I was still hitting the nest. So the wasp took it out on me, and I started running home while the others ran home in the opposite direction. I was screaming and only had to run about half a block downhill, but the swarm stuck with me. And when I reached the back porch, Mum was there, but she wouldn't let me in. But quickly arrived back with the corn broom, came out, shut the door, and began swatting the bees real fast, like when she whipped cream by hand. That's the last thing I remember until I woke up a couple of hours later in Mom and Dad's bed with baking soda on all the stings and a thin sheet over top of my naked body. I knew it had to be bad if I was in Mom and Dad's room. Later in life, when I got 1 sting or 5 stings, it seemed trivial to the 34 stings I got that day as like a 4-year-old. I never did think to ask my mom how many stings she got, but she must have had a few. And I thank her for her actions because no one else in the house got stung. Just imagine if someone saw it in full swing, a 4-year-old screaming at the top of his lungs and the mother clobbering him with a broom and yelling something like, "I'm going to get you, you little bastards." Yeah, that would have been a good one. So, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop before the next one, and I'm going to take a look at 19, 19, 17, 16, all the comments just to, okay. Oh, Jill, the stings, oh my God. Lois Hobbs, did you hear the news? There were killer hornets in Nanaimo. They could use you and your stick. That's a good one. Oh my goodness. Jocelyn, my sister, I got to clean the wound on your butt. I might have something with feedback. Whatever. Hold on. Just hold on. It's my phone. I'm turning it off. That was dumb. Put it right by the microphone. Microphone. Yeah, sounds right. Jocelyn says, I got to clean the wound on your butt. I might have even taken out the stitches. I think I have a picture. Jacqueline, my daughter, oh, I'm here, she says. Jill, again, I got my hair caught in a drill. Second. I got my, sorry for laughing, Jill. I got my hair caught in a drill press once. Do not recommend. I can imagine so. My hair at that time was probably in high school as teenagers was probably as long as yours almost. Jocelyn, you were very upset about getting stitches on SSI, but you were surprised after they froze you before giving stitches then because it was relatively painless. LOL, LOL. I don't think they froze you before giving stitches in Victoria. That's why it hurt so bad, probably. Lois, at last I found you. Oh, I guess these are minutes ago. I can never. So the new ones are on the bottom or top? I don't know. Anyhow, that's mostly all of them. So I'll get back to my rambling. Okay. I've had lots of bee stings, but one of the oddest situations was a time when my son Jordan was about 5 years old, and we were slashing out a trail down the Baker Road, which would cut off a lot of time going to the beach at Booth Bay. We were heading back up the trail to go home after we'd done when we somehow disturbed a wasp nest. I was getting stung and yelled, "Bees, run!" So Jordan was trying to run up a slippery rock slope. His little legs were going like crazy, but his gum boots were spinning out. So I'd push him, give him a good push and a nudge up, and he would always slide right back down to where I was. And meanwhile, the wasps were still stinging me. But I was a little more concerned about his safety than mine, which is a normal parenting thing, I guess. But this happened about 3 times before he got a good purchase and made it up. I caught up with him. We ran for a little ways and then stopped to make sure that we weren't being followed and to assess the damage. Score: Dad 12, Jordan 2. So that was that one. And on the West Coast here, as everyone who's from here knows, is that we can get some pretty big wasp nests. And we had a huge one when I lived on Jacqueline Drive, just off Baker Road. And one summer we had this huge wasp nest at the gable end of the house, and it was kind of attached to the soffit underneath the overhang at the very peak, which is about 25 feet above ground. So I kept looking at it for a couple of weeks, trying to find the best way to deal with it. And as the nest kept getting bigger, then I hatched a plan. In the middle of the day, I got my longest ladder and managed to tip it up and get it close to the nest, and I left it there. That night, I climbed up with a large garbage bag and slipped it over the nest and pinched the nest off where it attached to the house. The severed nest fell down into the bag. I quickly tied up the bag and walked it down the ladder and set it on the ground. No muss, no fuss. That worked really well. I don't think it was really my idea. I think I've heard of someone else doing it, so I won't take credit for that. But and here's, because we're on the subject of bees, here's a poem I wrote for my beekeeping sister Jocelyn. It's called The Apiary, and the alternate title is Plight of the Humble Bees. Do you know of this wee place? It be queen, fair haven and pleasant hill, be meadow green. In nature's lay may be a scene, an active hive, or so it seems. Do not be duped, for you must see, look past the expanse of humanity. Is there a problem? There may not be. Trust in God, and you will see fruits born of labor, the apiary. Behold a lass toiling hard beside her bees in her backyard. Her grunts and groans are not alone, a harmonic symphony with the drones. What to name this harvest gold? Something new? Invoke the old? Will it be witty? Will it rhyme? Will it stand the test of time? The dilemma therein is what to call the honey held so dear by all. Is there a problem? There may not be. Trust in God, and you will see fruits born of labor, the apiary. Now, I wrote that poem, and the dilemma therein is what to call the honey held so dear by all, right near the end. And that refers to Jocelyn had sent out a bunch of invitations for people to name her honey and whatever, the apiary. And when she did it, and I think the prizes were honey, which is a good thing. So there's another poem song following this, which is very, in a very vague way, influenced by my sister, the one with the bees. Because of her bees, she became famous and wanted to have a contest to make her more famous. One category was to name her honey. Why would she want to change her name to Honey? Besides, any lame brain knows how to spell honey, Hunny. I submitted about 50 suggestions. I guess I kind of wanted to win or something like that, and figured that a couple of them might not be that good, so that left me with 48 or so strong ones. And at the time, she had about 5 friends, not counting the good friend. And they didn't really know her yet, so if the contest didn't drag out, I would have decent odds of winning. Well, I didn't win, and don't even want to know the winning name, which was probably one of my names spelled ass backwards. And that could be as most of mine, and that could be as most of mine were spelled backwards. In other words, if I took a good name and spelled it backwards, and then the other contestants somehow got a hold of it, and then they took it and spelled it backwards, it would be the correct spelling. And I think that's what might have happened. Jocelyn probably figured out my complex code system and told one of her 2 friends. I got last place awards for naming her hive dive, and among my entries were Hairy Ape Airy, Crop Slop, and Rider Slide. Rider is after the Rough Riders, of course. But I'm going to have to have another drink here. Whoops. The one entry for that, name the honey contest that kept coming back to me that I put in was Stubble Jump Brew. And I can see why I didn't win, because if you turned it around to brew jump stubble, it still wouldn't work, because clearly the stubble and the brew can't even jump. It may not be good enough for a honey label, but now the focus is set on a record label. And a little more. So this is I guess it's sort of a song. And it's called Stubble Jump Brew. Stubble jump brew. Honey bee flew. My honey ain't free, but my honey'll do. Honey, what? It's gotten into you. I've been chugging away on that stubble jump brew. Tastes so good, all evening it do. Inhibition's gone, feeling oh so cool. Just one more song, now who's the fool? Dance round the floor, a gliding on my stool, till the music stops, so I stop too. But my stomach keeps jiving to the boogaloo, and off I zoom to the men's bar froom to disgorge a batch of stubble jump gruel. It comes with a fee, but leaves totally free. Awake next morning, oh so sad. Have a pound in hay, and I feel real bad. Suffer all that day till evening come. Go find my honey, that's what I'll do. Now I'm back with you, my stubble jump brew. Honey bee, honey bee hoo. Honey bee, my stubble jump brew. You were after honey, well, honey be me. So go and screw your stubble jump brew. Yeah, go and screw your stubble jump brew. Stubble jump brew. That's it. And here's another. Geez, I'm thirsty tonight. Here's another. This is really short. It's be like a poemy thing, I guess. And oh, someone's got problems. Just hold on. That was before. I can't really help you, Lois, because I got to keep going here. But hopefully the address should be valid. Yeah, so hopefully you can get through with it. I don't see anyone else having that problem. Okay. Now, this. Well, let me just look. When Jill's comment, when the name doesn't fit the product, obviously you start a whole new business so you can use that name. That's right. And I didn't have to relinquish that to my lovely little sister. Apiary. Love it, Lois. Read them the Moan Drone one, Jocelyn. I'm not sure what that one is, but I'd have to. It might have just been something that I just wrote and kind of maybe discarded, or it's off in a corner somewhere, and I don't want to be looking too long for it. So, Anik, my niece Anik Levesque says, "Yeah, I have a problem. I'm almost out of honey." Okay, this one is it's called "I'm Not My Bee's Keeper." A little honeybee whispered in my ear, "Your sister's a keeper." And I said, "I know, but I wax poetic. You can speak and you can hear, so get the fuck out of my ear." And I just realized that I might. There we go. Won't have any more of the popping sounds. And this is still on the bee subject. Let's be on the same subject. A few years ago, all 5 of us sibs, I've got 4 sisters, got together in Saskatoon, and the bee's keeper pestered, prodded, and bullied, then conscripted us against our will as slave labor to help harvest her honey. Oh boy. The hives were in the backyard and the processing was done in the carport. I was pretty much at the end of the production line, filling the jars with honey. And I figured I would have to really try to screw up. So I really tried, but I just couldn't screw it up. Anyhow, there was just a lot of people in a small amount of space. We had a great time, enjoyed the heck out of it. But the most awesome part was when I got a break. I went out to the yard in sandals, t-shirt, and then shorts. And this was the embarrassing part. I didn't have shorts that I wanted to sort of sacrifice and get honey all over and all that kind of stuff. So my brother-in-law Marcel said, well, I'll loan you a pair. So I get there, and what has he got for me to wear? He's got these green Rough Riders shorts. Thank you, Marcel. That was very kind of you. Anyhow, I felt like a real, I don't know what you would call, but it didn't feel so great. So I lost my place. This is embarrassing. Okay. Anyhow, when I got a break, I walked calmly and slowly to the hives in the backyard and just stood there as the bees milled about and on me. And like when you do something like that, you actually have to, trust and be calm, because you're stupid enough to do it without a bee suit or whatever, like your sister and brother-in-law had. Anyhow, I just stayed there, and I just kind of let go and let them do whatever they wanted to me. I didn't get stung once. And it was one of the most peaceful experiences that I've ever, or peaceful moments that I've ever experienced. And you'd think that after all the bee stings I've had in my life that I would be afraid of them. I know that they have only stung me when their well-being was at risk, pretty much. And past experience says there's a good chance that I can tolerate whatever they throw at me. So that's probably one of the reasons I was okay with it. And we're time's pretty much up. I would like to thank someone and brag at the same time. And fortunately, that someone hopefully is still on air. So that thanks goes to Jill Stacy for prodding me or nudging me into entering the CBC, whatever it is, National Poetry Contest. I wasn't going to, because I read the poems, and mine are a little more maybe traditional because there's rhyming in them, but in none of the poems that anyone won was even close to that in the last few years. But then I thought, what the heck? Maybe they need some more of whatever I've got. So I made, what was it, four 4 submissions of 3 poems each. One I called Broken as One, with the poems Indomitable, Abominable, and Broken Heroes, and Fragments of Glint. The other one I called Mortality Whispers, and it had Arterial Flow, which I think I read last week, Depth Conception, and Refresh. Another one was Core Reflections. It had Peacock Hill, and Prose Arose, which I've recited recently, and Haggis Hunt, which it was a sort of a tribute to Robbie Burns. And then Cerebral Compromise, which was Head Case, In Prison Blues, and Yesterday is Lost. So you were good doobies. Yeah, Dad used to call us good doobies if we were good kids. That's what Jocelyn wrote. And Jocelyn goes, David, you're a natural bee whisperer. You basically communed with the bees. And I even whispered in the last poem. And Jill, exactly. Good for you, David. Okay, so I'm surprised, because I didn't think I had that much material, but I am just a little bit over time. So I would just like to say thank you very much for everyone tuning in. I had a bit of a blast, and I hope you did. And I'll try and come up with something for next week that isn't, about getting hurt, like bee stings and stitches too much, and maybe something that's a little more, I don't know, a little more nice to, be thinking about. So I'm afraid that it's time to go. And, Lynn, maybe they need more of your poems, Jill said. Lynn, best of luck. You're awesome. Thank you, Lynn. So it's time to go. And I'll just close the show. But I'd like to say to every one of you, good night and God bless.